Calf strain. It'll take several weeks, and that's the information we got right now.
Several weeks taken into the regular season.
Several weeks to several weeks.
The ultimate truth, several weeks is indeed several weeks. The Bengals. Somebody thought they were being humorous. Please stop calling and offering us your calf muscles. It doesn't work like that. I would be hard-pressed to find a single person who thought it did. But regardless, he has a calf strain. It could have been worse. He'll be back. He went down at practice late last week, and it gave everyone a scare. That's part of this preseason training camp. You're just constantly on the lookout for wherever lightning might strike and take a guy out. A key player out for the year, out for most of the year, changes everything about the team, about the team's chances, about the dynamics in a given division or conference, and you just don't know when and where and how it's going to happen. But it's going to happen. I remember 1993, I was taking the West Virginia bar exam, and I saw that Terry Allen of the Vikings had torn his ACL reading the newspaper, and it was just like I'd taken a punch to the stomach. Like, you're constantly on the lookout for anything that may happen in training camp. You know, Chris, he had that sleeve on there.
Yeah, I know.
And I just wonder what might have been pre-existing with that calf, because that's where he grabs, and that's where the injury is. So you don't wear that sleeve for a fashion statement. That sleeve's on there for a reason.
I would think so, too. Yeah, I wondered the same thing. Right, and that's not the same leg he hurt as far as ACL 2 years ago, right? That was the other leg, if I remember correctly.
Plant leg. His plant leg got caved in. That's the same leg. Left leg or right leg? No, so it's right leg. Right. Play that again so we can see which leg the wrap is on. I think the wrap's on the right leg, so you're right. It would have been the left leg that had the ACL torn.
Right. So he's wearing it on the right leg, but you're right. The sleeve is kind of curious. The injury is obviously significant. Listen, like here's where these are things that just jump out to me as an ex-player or whatever else. Right? You see guys sometimes that tweak a calf muscle, they don't go down. Now they walk gingerly right off the field, and like they can put a little pressure on it, but like, oh man, something went. I don't know. Ooh. This was like somebody shot me in the leg and I got to go down, which was my first thing to go. This might be a little bit more than a tweak from Joe Burrow. Then the second thing is the clip we just played, right? I was having a conversation with somebody there. Calf muscle should be 2 to 3 weeks, right? No, several. If it was going to be 2 to 3 weeks, they would have said 2 to 3 weeks. It's a very common term. He'll be back in 2 to 3 weeks. Several weeks means 4 or more, in my opinion. And yeah, that's tough. I feel for Joe Burrow, who, can he get a normal offseason or training camp? Because this is, 3 or 4 in a row. He's had a weird one. And like we've talked about so much, it's just, hey, I have a hard time believing he'll be hitting on all cylinders week 1 and playing his best football and the offense playing its best football. And that's tough in the AFC North, or in the AFC in general. And that's where I feel for Burrow and the Bengals.
Technically, several is defined as more than 2, but not many. Again, that doesn't give us the clarity that anyone is looking for, but several weeks, that almost reminds me of the difference between day-to-day and week-to-week. We'll hear that throughout football season. Somebody's day-to-day, they could be back anytime. Week-to-week, well, we're just taking it 1 week at a time, and we'll assess where the guy is and what's happening, and I kind of feel like that's where they are with Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And the key with a calf strain, any soft tissue injury, hamstring, whatever, I've had them. You just got to rest them. And you got to rest them longer than you think you need to rest them, because it'll still grab. It'll still pull. It'll still re-injure, even if you think you're fine, because you don't get full speed until you're out there and put full pressure on it. So they need to be smart with this. And if that means holding them out all the way until week 1, so be it. If they have to go longer than week 1, that's really where it becomes a question.
Well, yeah. Right, Mike? Right? I mean, to your point, too, if you get to the point where you're him, you're just like, well, I'm not going out in week 1 at all until I maybe get a new contract. 2, that's where the several comes in. That to me is not a thing that's thrown out. Several is not one that's thrown out by a coach. It's usually a true timeline. Oh, this is injuries 4 to 6 weeks. This injury's 2 to 3 weeks. This one's week 2 week. Several tells me that it's significant and that, like you're saying, they got to be careful and take this slow. And, we showed that list of him missing time and everything like that. And I go, yeah, damn, this is tough. We know the Bengals, their Super Bowl window ready right now, can win the Super Bowl. And they're in maybe the toughest division of football, the toughest we've ever seen, AFC. And we saw last year, he had the appendectomy last year and he got off to a slow start. He threw, 5 interceptions in week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? And I know some of those were good plays by the Steelers. Week 2, their offense still didn't look like itself. They lost to the Dallas Cowboys. It took them a little while to get going last year because Joe Burrow was not there and they weren't all in symmetry and working together the right way. And, that's what they're going to have to overcome and try to find ways to win some football games early on in the season.
And that's good news for the Cleveland Browns, week 1, the Ravens, week 2, the Rams, week 3, Monday Night Football, and then week 4, they're at the Tennessee Titans. If it takes them a little while to get it going, that just creates opportunities to maybe pick off a couple of victories against the Bengals that you otherwise would not have been able to manage. So, look, we hope he heals quickly and he's back. We hope he gets his contract. He should definitely not set foot on a practice field or a game field until he has his contract. I think that's one very obvious takeaway from all of this. So let's hope they get all that taken care of. Calf gets healed. He comes back. It's not an issue. He can play at a high level because whether you're a Bengals fan or not a Bengals fan, I mean, we want to see the best players playing at a high level at all times, and then we'll see if the rest of the pieces around them can carry them to victory. But we want the best quarterbacks to be available. They make the games more exciting, especially down the stretch as teams are trying to either take the lead, hold the lead, break a tie, whatever the case may be. We want the best quarterbacks in those games to make them as exciting as they can be. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.